Hey, Ms. Champion,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Champion,
Yes, sir.
can you put courtroom one, the Spanish interpreter, and Mr. Rogalski in a breakout?
Okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is 2 p.m., so we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the State Expedited Accusations calendar in the State Court of Fulton County, Georgia, and I am Judge Melanie Williams. At this calendar today, we will set bonds and address matters for those individuals who have been recently arrested, but the cases have already been formally accused and bound over to state court. All defendants, please pay attention. You have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say regarding the facts of your case can and will be used against you. You also have the right to counsel today. As you can see, I'm not there with you. I'm conducting this proceeding over the internet as a live stream. It's also being recorded. That means any member of the public can log on and watch this proceeding. When I ask if you understand your rights, that is what I am referring to. Those who receive a signature bond will be reset. Further notice, those who receive a surety bond or cash are going to our all-purpose calendar. Ms. Bridgewater, what is my reset date?
December 26th.
So those who receive a surety or cash are going to be reset to December the 26th state all-purpose calendar, whereby aspects of your case, including bond and other provisions, can be revisited. All right, have all defense attorneys had the opportunity to interview their clients?
Your Honor, I have Mr. Rogalski, courtroom one, and the Spanish interpreter in the breakout room right now.
Okay,
So I'm gonna proceed with Mr. Mike McLean's cases.
okay. It seems as if that happens to me a lot, interpretation. I see a Ms. Waltman. Who is your client?
Good afternoon, Judge. I am Holly Waltman on behalf of Mr. Mehta. We have just recently been retained, so I have not sent in my entry of appearance, but I can do that this afternoon. And I have not
Okay,
spoken with him, but I don't need to. I've spoken with his family, and I have enough information
to proceed. That's great.
Yep,
Spell the last name for me. Mehta, is that your client?
you got it. That's it, Judge.
All right, can we go to that position first, please?
Your Honor, can we do position 15 for security purposes, and then we'll go to Mr. Mehta?
Okay, understood. And this is Mr. Williams.
That is correct.
Mr. Williams, your case is 24 CR 008025D. In this matter, you're charged with criminal trespass and damage to property. Do you understand your rights?
Yeah, yes.
All right. And Ms. Jackson, can I please have his history?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 19 cycles. The last arrest was October the 28th, 2024 in Fulton County for criminal trespassing. He does appear to have an open case pending in DeKalb County for interference with government property and simple battery against a police officer and terroristic threats enact. Also, he appears to have an open case pending in Fulton County for entering an automobile. And in addition to that, he appears to be on probation. I apologize, I did not give you that case number for that open case in Fulton County, Your Honor. It's 24 SC 006703. Also, he appears to be on probation in Fulton County for terroristic threats enact and criminal damage to property in the second degree. That case number is 21 SC 179341. That disposition date is February the 7th, 2022. And the term is for 4 years and 185 days of probation. He does have prior misdemeanor convictions, one in DeKalb County in 2022 for criminal trespassing, one in 2018 for criminal trespassing. And he appears to meet the criteria for UJR Level 3, nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Allen, is this your case?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, please proceed.
This is an incident from November the 20th of 2024. Police were called to 1332 Metropolitan Parkway Southwest at about 11:30 in the morning. That's the parking lot at the library there. The individual in front of you is someone who's known to them. He's described as residentially challenged and frequenting that area. A security guard who was working at the library that day witnessed him on surveillance camera pick up a rock or a brick and throw it through the window of a car parked in the parking lot. Security officer went outside to speak to the defendant, who walked away. They notified the victim. His name is John Nagy, Nagy, who was there at the location. He went and confirmed there was nothing missing from his vehicle, but yes, in fact, the front passenger window had been smashed and there was an object in the front seat, a brick. Surveillance footage was provided to the police, Your Honor, and a warrant was obtained. You just heard his history. The state would ask you for a $2,000 surety. He's got open cases and he's in violation of probation with this new incident. A request to stay away from the location, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Thank you. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Mr. Williams does have the history that has been named. There's no getting around that. We asked the court to set a bond as low as possible within the realms of reason. Your Honor, he Kroger's. Once upon a time, he is a high school graduate, and he is local, and he has family here in town. So I can say those things about him, but he does struggle with the issues, and we do need to address those. I'm going to have a social worker, of course, talk to him.
All right, thank you, Mr. McLean. At this time, defendant will receive $1,000 surety bond. He is to stay away from that location on Metropolitan Parkway, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and he is going to all-purpose on the 26th. I'm also going to ask the public defender's office to have a social worker come visit him. Thank you. Best of luck to you, sir.
And Your Honor, this is going to be position number 10. Mr. Mehta.
All right, Mr. Mehta, good afternoon. Your case is 24 CR 008058Y. You're charged with 2 counts, battery, family violence. You understand your rights today?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Can I have the history, please? Ms. Jackson.
Your Honor, he does not have any prior arrests on file. He appears to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail, nothing in addition.
All right, thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident out of Alpharetta from the 9th of December, so yesterday at about 12:20 a.m. Police were called to 140 Quay Circle, that's Quay. The victim, Mrs. Akruti Mehta, who I believe is here on the Zoom, answered the door when police knocked. She was seen to have red marks, scratches on her chest, and swelling to the left side of her face near her eye. She and the defendant were separated and both spoken to. The defendant told police that they had a verbal argument that got out of hand. He claimed he didn't remember what happened. He was asked about the red marks and scratches on his wife's chest, and he said he has very long fingernails, and while she was trying to grab him, he was scratching her accidentally. He claimed he had no idea how she had swelling next to her eye. The victim spoke to police. She said that they had a verbal altercation. She was very concerned and didn't want anything to happen to her husband. But eventually she explained that she'd been sitting on the couch when he got very close to her face during this argument, and she put her hand up to create space and move him out of the way. It was at that point he began grabbing at her, and he scratched her on the chest while doing that. He then struck her in the face, and she had this visible swelling. The victim said it had never been this bad before to police, and she kept asking police if they would just give her husband a warning. We spoke to the victim this morning, Your Honor. She reports that they've been married for 12 years and they share a child. She now denies everything in the warrant, that neither of them called the police, that they accidentally called 911 by mistake, which is difficult if nobody called the police. I don't know. Every step of the way through the facts of this, there's a excuse or an answer for how this didn't happen. She hit her own self and caused her own injury. Officers didn't understand her words. He's never hit her before, compared to it's never been this bad before on the scene. There's some concern, Your Honor, a particularly vulnerable victim. There seems to be a language issue. At least that's what's represented in our phone call with her, and that's why she thinks maybe this is all misconstrued, although you can't misconstrue an injury on a face. We're asking for a $4,000 SOB through pretrial, Your Honor, and no violent contact and no drugs, alcohol, and weapons. There is a small child in the home, just to make sure everyone's safe. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm sounding for, is it Ms. Mehta at this time? If you wish to make a very brief statement, please raise your right hand. Statements are not required. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today be the truth to the best of your knowledge? Ma'am, do you so swear?
Yes, I want to say something, Honorable.
Okay, let me explain something to you before you do. This is a bond hearing and the defendant is entitled to a bond today. If you disagree with the facts that's just presented by Ms. Allen, that's not what I'm concerned with. I'm most concerned with whether you have concerns for your safety and whether
No.
you wish to have contact with the defendant. So in light of that, wait, let me finish, okay? In light of those instructions, what would you like to tell me? Again, I'm most concerned for your safety and whether you wish to have contact. Please proceed with what you'd like to tell me. Very briefly, there will be other opportunities for you to flesh out the facts. This is just an initial hearing today, okay?
Yes, I wish to have contact. I don't fear him. He is no fear or threat to me. I wish to have contact, have him back home. There is some misunderstanding, miscommunication in the whole thing, but I wish him back home without any restrictions.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Waltman, please proceed.
Thank you, Judge. As the victim just indicated, she is not fearful. She is wanting him back home and having no violent contact. My client is born in 1979, making him approximately 45 years old. He has been in the United States for 20 years. He first came here in 2003 on a student visa. He has gainful full-time employment. As the court is aware, he has no criminal history. This is perhaps maybe not everyone's best moment, but certainly not indicative of a cycle or issues that have happened before. He has a local resident. He's supported by his family, no criminal history, and is unlikely to commit any offenses if given bond by this honorable court. I would ask for a UJR bond in this case. And in the alternative, if the court's not comfortable with that, I would ask for a $2,500 surety in good bond.
Thank you. Defendant's going to receive a $2,000 good bond. He's to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim in this case, have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, and he's going to be reset to the all-purpose calendar in the event he does not make bond. If he does make bond, his case will be reset for the notice, of course, Ms. Waltman.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Judge. Do I need to send an entry into the court for this, for today's appearance?
No, you can just file it afterwards. Just make sure
All right.
you're associated going forward, okay?
I certainly will. That concludes my business. May we be excused.
Yes, you may. Take care. Have a great
Thank you.
afternoon.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Your Honor, I do not mean to interrupt. Can you give me the breakdown of that bond again, please?
Yes, 1,000 on each count.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All
guys.
right.
Have a good.
All right.
Go
Let's
to the
see.
minutes interpretation on.
Oh, we need to do the interpretation, correct?
Yes, you can go there.
All right. And what number was that?
Number 5, Mr. Gonzalez.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Gonzalez. Your case is 24 CR 00. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Chancey, let me swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm, Ms. Chancey, that you will make an accurate translation from English to Spanish, Spanish to English to the best of your skills, knowledge, and ability?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Gonzalez. Your case is 24 CR 008061J.
Buenas tardes, señor González. Su número de caso es 24CR 008065J.
In this case, you are charged with cruelty to children in the third and battery family violence.
En este caso, usted está acusado por crueldad ante un menor en el tercer grado y por golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar.
I want to explain your rights to you. You have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say regarding the facts of your case can and will be used against you.
Voy a explicarle sus derechos. Usted tiene el derecho absoluto de guardar silencio. Todo lo que usted diga con respecto a los hechos de su caso pueden y serán usados en su contra.
You have a right to an attorney, and an attorney is here to represent you today.
Usted tiene derecho a ser representado por un abogado y un abogado está aquí para representarlo hoy.
And as you can see, I'm conducting this hearing by internet. It's being recorded.
Y como usted puede ver, estoy conduciendo esta audiencia a través de la internet y está siendo grabada.
You understand your rights and how I'm conducting the hearing today?
¿Usted entiende sus derechos y cómo estoy conduciendo esta audiencia hoy?
Sí.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, Ms. Jackson, can I have the history for Mr. Gonzalez, please?
Muy bien, señora Jackson, por favor, ¿puedo tener los antecedentes para el señor González, por favor?
He has 2 cycles. The last arrest was March the 14th, 2023 in New York for alien inadmissibility.
Él tiene 2 procesos. El último arresto fue en marzo 14 del 2023 debido a indocumentación.
He does not have any convictions listed in the GCIC.
Él no ha tenido ninguna sentencia en la lista de, por sus siglas en inglés, GCIC.
And he does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR
Y él parece cumplir con los requisitos para recibir.
through the
I'm sorry,
jail.
one moment. Through jail, thank you. Para recibir una firma bajo una fianza bajo firma a través de la cárcel.
Nothing
All
in
right,
addition, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Nada más, su señoría.
Ms. Vestiano, please proceed with your recommendation.
Señor Feliciano, ¿puede proceder con la recomendación?
Good afternoon, Judge. This incident took place on December 9th. Officers were dispatched to 615 Creekside Way in Roswell.
Buenas tardes, su señoría. El incidente ocurrió el 9 de diciembre. Los oficiales fueron enviados al 615 de Creekside Way in Roswell.
The incident location is one of the defendant's friends' houses. The parties were over there for a gathering on the 9th.
El incidente, el lugar del incidente es una de las casas de los amigos del acusado y estaban ahí para en una reunión en ese día del 9.
The victim in this case is Liscar Lopez.
La víctima en este caso es Liscar López.
She told police through the help of an interpreter that the defendant punched her in the arm and grabbed her by the hair in front of her 7-year-old child.
Ella le dijo a la policía a través de la ayuda de un intérprete que el acusado le dio un puñetazo en el brazo y la tomó por el cabello en frente de su niño de 7 años.
The victim had red marks on her neck, and she told the police that this is not the first time the defendant's been violent toward her.
La víctima tenía unas marcas rojas en el cuello y le dijo también al policía que no era la primera vez que el acusado había actuado de manera violenta hacia ella.
The officers also spoke with the defendant, who told the police that the child and the victim were lying.
Los oficiales también hablaron con el acusado, quien le dijo a la policía que el menor y la víctima estaban mintiendo.
We have not been in touch with the victim today,
No hemos tenido contacto con la víctima hoy.
and it's our understanding that the parties do live together at the same address.
Y se entiende que las partes viven juntas en el mismo domicilio.
We're requesting a signature bond through pretrial services, no contact, stay away from the victim's residence, anger awareness, or family violence intervention program, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Estamos solicitando una fianza bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio. No tener más contacto alguno, mantenerse fuera de la residencia de la víctima, tomar clase de concientización de la ira, violencia o intervención de violencia familiar, el programa, y queda prohibido el uso de armas, drogas y alcohol.
And nothing further, Your Honor, if you can just sound for the victim at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Y nada más si podemos llamar a la víctima. Liscar López.
I'm sorry. Oh, and the victim's name again?
Liscar Lopez.
Will you sound for her, Miss Chancy?
Yes, Your Honor. Por favor, la señora o señorita Liscar López, si está en la plataforma, prenda su cámara, su micrófono para poder hablar con usted. Liscar López.
All right, hearing none. Is it Mr. Rogalski? Am I saying that correctly?
It is, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, please proceed.
Por favor,
Yes, Your
procede.
Come before you is Mr. Andres Gonzalez.
Ante usted está el señor Andrés González
He is 32 years of age.
y tiene 32 años.
He has been residing in the state of Georgia for the past 2 years.
Y él ha residido en el estado de Georgia por los últimos 2 años.
His current address is 1018 Hemingway Lane in Roswell, Georgia.
En su dirección es 1018 Hemingway Lane en Roswell.
We do understand that he does reside there with the victim in this case.
Entendemos que ahí vive él con la víctima en este caso.
And I would like to ask that it is no further violent contact for that reason.
Por esa razón, quisiera solicitar que se ordene no más contacto violento debido a eso.
He does have 3 children. One of them resides with him.
Tiene 3 hijos, uno residiendo con él.
He made it to the 4th grade in school, but has been working gainfully employed.
Él terminó su 4º grado, pero él tiene un trabajo remunerado.
He does remodeling jobs for home properties.
Él hace trabajo de remodelación para residencias.
And Your Honor, I did hear from pretrial that Mr. Gonzalez has no convictions on his record.
Y su señoría, escuché de parte de la fiscalía que él no tiene ninguna convicción en su récord.
So we are requesting that you do follow the recommendation of the state in regards to the signature bond in this case.
Por eso estamos solicitando que usted considere la recomendación de la Fiscalía con respecto a una fianza bajo firma, en este caso.
However, again, we would like to once again ask for no further violent contact so he can go back home.
Sin embargo, de nuevo, queremos solicitar una, una prohibición de contacto violento para que él pueda regresar a su casa.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Gracias, su señoría.
All right, I'm sorry, Ms. Despiano, did the state, I don't even recall, did the state have any contact with the victim regarding her wishes?
No, Your Honor, and of course, our objection, as you know, is going to be we haven't heard from her, so we would
Yeah.
prefer no contact until we've been able to get in touch with her, and the parties can always do a bond mod later.
¿Han habido algún contacto con la víctima? No, su señoría, y por supuesto, nuestra objeción, como sabe, va a ser que al no haber escuchado de ella, preferimos que no haya contacto alguno entre ellos.
All right, in light of the information before me, defendant is gonna receive a $1,500 signature bond at level 1 through pretrial.
Muy bien, entonces, debido a la información que se ha presentado ante mí, el acusado va a recibir una fianza bajo firma de $1,500 en el nivel 1 a través de los servicios previos al juicio.
Considering the fact that this just took place yesterday and we have not heard from the victim, it will be no further contact.
Debido al hecho de que esto ya acaba de ocurrir ayer y por no haber tenido o escuchado nada de la víctima, va a haber una orden de no tener más contacto alguno.
Please stay away from the address on Creekside Way. He can return one time with law enforcement to get any items.
Él tiene que permanecer alejado de la dirección de Creekside Way y puede regresar solo una vez con un oficial de la fuerza del orden para obtener sus pertenencias personales.
Additionally, he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Adicionalmente, él no puede hacer uso de drogas, alcohol o armas.
And he is also going to take the 1-day anger awareness course.
También debe tomar una clase de manejo de la ira.
Is there anything additional from state or defense?
¿Hay algo más de la fiscalía o defensa?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Nothing
No.
from the defense, Your Honor. Thank you.
Nada de parte de la defensa. Gracias.
All right, best of luck to you, Ms. Gonzalez. That concludes your case.
Your
La
Honor,
mejor de
get
la
the bond
suerte,
down,
señora.
please. There are two
It's
bonds.
500 on count 1, 1,000 count 2.
Thank you.
Anything additional? All right, Mr. Gonzalez, best of luck. Ms. Chancey, will you sound before you go?
Yes, Your Honor, of course. ¿Hay alguien que necesite un intérprete en español para hablar con la señora jueza? Por favor, avísenos, prenda su cámara y micrófono y déjenos saber.
Hearing none, thank you, Ms. Chancey. You can
All
leave.
right. Thank
Take
you. Have a
care.
good evening.
Have the good rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, who do we have next?
Good afternoon, Judge. This is going to be position number 1 on the add-on calendar. Ms. Allen?
Has ACDC heard their rights?
No, not yet, Judge.
All right, all defendants in ACDC, please pay attention. You have an absolute right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney at this proceeding today. And as you can see, I'm conducting this hearing by video, and it's also being recorded. When I ask if you understand your rights, that is what I am referring to. Ms. Allen, your case is 24 CR, excuse me, 008070C. In this case, you're charged with terroristic threats, obstruction, and simple battery against an officer. Do you understand your rights? All right, I will take that as a yes. Ms. Jackson, can I please have the history?
Yes, Your Honor. She has 4 cycles. The last arrest was September the 28th, 2024 in Clayton County for criminal trespassing and cruelty to children in the 2nd degree, 3 counts. and obstruction of an officer. That case appeared to be still pending in Clayton County, Your Honor. Also, she appears to have an open case pending in Lake City, Georgia for disorderly conduct. There are no convictions listed in the GCIC. And she appears to meet the criteria for UJR level 2. Nothing in addition.
All right, thank you. Ms. Desiano, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident took place December 8th at 56 Baker Street. Officers were canvassing the area. They were actually looking for the defendant's daughter, who was shoplifting at the Piggly Wiggly. Officers located the daughter at the incident location. They attempted to detain her, and the defendant came outside visibly upset, demanding the officer take their hands off her daughter. Officer explained that the daughter was being detained because she was shoplifting. The defendant walked up to the officer, Officer Nguyen, Nguyen, and told him that if he did not release her daughter, that she would hit him in the face. And she was also trying to physically prevent the officer from arresting her daughter. While in the patrol vehicle, the defendant pulled out her colostomy bag and asked to go to the hospital. And when she arrived to the hospital, she spit on the officer's face, and that was a different officer, A. Ward. And given her open cases and her history, Your Honor, the state's requesting a $2,500 surety bond, $1,000 on the terroristic threats, $500 on the obstruction, and $1,000 on the last charge. No further violent contact with law enforcement, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Officer Nguyen and Officer Ward. And so the jail's aware there was a fourth charge for simple assault that was the same basis as a terroristic threat. So I'll send an NOD to the jail here momentarily for that last charge.
All right, are either of those officers present and wish to make a statement very briefly? Hearing none, Mr. Rogalski, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Come before you is Miss Allen. She is 34 years of age. She has resided in the Atlanta area for her entire life. She is from the state of Georgia. She is currently residing at 34 Baker Drive in Atlanta with her children. She does have 5 kids, ages 15 all the way as young as 7. She made it to the 9th grade in school, and as you had heard from the state there, she does have some medical complications involving her GI tract requiring colostomy bag. So that would be a difficult jail stay for her. Your Honor, at the moment, she is currently unemployed, however, has had good employment in the past working at the airport as a waitress. So she does have good employable skills for after release to be able to provide for her family. Your Honor, today we are asking for you to set a bond not to exceed $1,000. Realistically, we would love for this to be a signature bond. So we are going to request that, but in the alternative, if Your Honor is not inclined to do so, we would ask for a bond not to exceed in total $1,000 surety. And the breakdown of that could be anything you would like, but $250 per charge would be our recommendation as appropriate. Thank you.
All right. Defendant is going to receive a $1,500 surety bond. That's $500 on each count. She's to have no further violent contact with any of the officers and all law enforcement in general. Have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons as a condition. And she's being reset to all purpose on the 26th. Is there anything additional?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
Your Honor, I did just want to re-clarify. I don't know if ASG, is it Desiano?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if ASG Desiano, I had heard something about a 4th charge being added. I just wanted to make sure that if there was. Oh, okay.
There was a 4th charge, but I'm submitting an NOD to the jail right now. I'll copy you on the email.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't an outstanding charge that didn't receive a bond. So thank you. Nothing further.
All right. Who do we have next?
Number 7, Hampton.
All right. Good afternoon. Ms. Hampton, your case is 24 CR 008067C. You're charged with 3 counts of battery family violence. You understand your rights today?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Jackson?
She has 3 cycles. The last arrest was July 2nd, 2018 in Muskogee County, Georgia, for cruelty to children in the 1st degree and battery family violence and obstruction of an officer. She does have one misdemeanor conviction that was in 2019 out of Muskogee County, Georgia, for battery, family violence, and obstruction of an officer. She does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR level 1. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident took place December 9th. Incident location is 1190 Sims Street in Atlanta. Officers responded to a dispute there. The victim is Derayshun Calloway, Derayshun. He has a child with the defendant. He stated that he was in the middle of a dispute with the defendant inside the residence. They were arguing over a vehicle when the defendant got on top of him and started punching him repeatedly in the head. The victim was seen to have several injuries, to include a busted lip, a gash on the right side of his eyebrow, and a bruise on the left side of his face. We have been in touch with Mr. Calloway today, and we actually learned that he has a fractured nose and he had to receive stitches on the gash above his eyebrow. And also, Your Honor, pretrial told you she has a prior conviction for battery, family violence. So based upon the injuries and the criminal history, the state has requested this case be transferred to Superior Court. We have not heard back from the DA's office at this point. And the victim would like no contact. He states that he has left the residence and does not plan to return. So we're not requesting a stay away. And he also notes this is not the first time the defendant's been violent toward him. So we're requesting a $2,000 surety on each count, Your Honor, no contact, family violence intervention, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if you can sound for Mr. Calloway.
Is Mr. Calloway present? Hearing none, Mr. Rogowski?
Yes, Your Honor. Come before you as Miss Hampton. She is 32 years of age. She's resided in the state of Georgia for her entire life, so she's born and raised here. She did relay to me in the alternative of returning to that address, a different address where she could stay with her brother at this time, and that would be at 389 Queen Elise Lane, and that's in Jonesboro, Georgia. Your Honor, she does have 3 children, an 18-year-old, a 9-year-old, and an 11-month-year-old baby. 2 of them do reside with her. The 18-year-old no longer does reside with her. She completed some college at Columbus Tech in Columbus, Georgia, and she currently is facing a myriad of health issues at the moment and experienced hospitalization for kidney failure back as soon as November 14th of this year. So unfortunately, Miss Hampton is currently going through a lot at this time. She does have a nursing assistance certificate and did previously have good employment at Publix, so she does have some great employable skills to exercise upon release. We do understand that the state's intention is to move this case up. However, at the moment, we would request an opportunity for Miss Hampton to be released, and for that, we would be requesting a bond not to exceed $500 per charge for a grand total of less than $1,500 surety. Thank you.
All right, defendant is going to receive a $3,000 surety bond. It's $1,000 on each count. She's to have no contact with Mr. Calloway. Additionally, she's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And because she is receiving a surety bond, she is being reset to all purpose on the 26th. Is there anything additional from State or Defense?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Hearing none. Best of luck to you, Ms. Hampton. Who do we have next?
Your Honor, this is gonna be position number 14, Mr. David Wells.
Are you finished at ACDC? Was ACDC saying something?
She does have a question, Judge.
Okay, very quickly.
She said, never mind, disregard. She just
Okay.
needs the resources, but that's her
All
attorney.
right.
Her and I had a discussion about that, Your Honor. I've drafted an email to contact my social worker on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Rogowski. All right, Mr. Wells, your case is 24 CR 008055F. You're charged with possession and use of drug-related objects and criminal trespass. You understand your rights? All right, Ms. Jackson?
He has 13 cycles. The last arrest was November the 22nd, 2024, with the City of Atlanta Police Department for criminal trespassing. He does have a prior felony conviction that was in 1988 out of Gwinnett County for burglary. And he has misdemeanor convictions. One in 2000 out of Florida for petty theft. One in 1994 out of Florida for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. And he appears to meet the criteria for UJR level 2. Nothing in addition.
Ms. Allen, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from December the 9th at about 11:15 in the morning. Police responded to 506 Moreland Avenue Northeast. It's a strip mall. They encountered the defendant there. He had been previously criminally trespassed from the location on September the 15th. And while interacting with him and then detaining him, he was found to be in possession of a glass pipe. He told police he uses it to smoke crack. The defendant does have a 2003 homicide case out of Florida where he was found incompetent to stand trial. Georgia conviction or an open case, I believe, in November 2024 for criminal trespass, or just recently arrested, Your Honor. We'd ask for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and stay away from the location. We'd also ask for a social worker visit.
Okay, any objections to a SOB? Mr. McLean?
Honor, I've gotten hold of friends and family, and I agree with the social worker visit, and those were the lines along which we're trying to move.
Question, I'm sorry. There was a prior criminal trespass in his history, Ms.
Yes,
Jackson?
he was arrested on November the 22nd, 2024 for criminal trespass.
Okay, so he cannot go through the jail. Okay. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give defendant a split bond. Defendant is gonna receive a $1 bond on the criminal trespass count, $1 cash. And on the possession and use of drug-related objects, defendant is gonna receive an SOB through the jail. So total, he only has to make a $1 bond, and he's to stay away from that location, have no alcohol, no drugs, and no weapons whatsoever, and he is to have a social worker visit. Is there anything additional?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, that's,
What is the total amount of this bond?
that's weird, huh? Okay, I guess it's gonna be $1,001, so it'll be 1,000 SOB through the jail,
Okay,
and then $1 cash.
okay, thank you.
Can I give him a straight UJR? I guess not. We'll just leave it like that. That's fine. All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Wells.
Come on.
What do we have next?
This is gonna be position number 2 on the add-on calendar, Haynes.
All right, good afternoon, Ms. Haynes. Your case is 24 CR 008069E. You're charged with battery, family violence, simple assault, family violence, and 2 counts of cruelty to children in the third. You understand your rights today?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Jackson, can I please have that history?
She has 4 cycles. The last arrest was April the 28th, 2017 in Spalding County, Georgia, for a probation violation. She does have a prior felony conviction. It's in 2013 out of Spalding County, with theft by deception, a felony. And she does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 2. Nothing in addition.
All right, thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident took place December 9th. Officers were dispatched to 1483 Arthur Langford Jr. Place Southwest, Building 10, Apartment 6, regarding a dispute. Upon arrival, officers spoke to the defendant, who stated that she and her boyfriend lived there. There was a dispute, and she just wanted him to leave, but couldn't really say what caused the dispute. They then spoke to the victim, whose name is Sean Tilley. He stated that the defendant had been drinking all night, and she grabbed him, struck him multiple times with a closed fist to his face. The victim was seen to have scratches under his eye and on top of his head. He also said the defendant bit him on his lip after the physical dispute. The defendant went and grabbed 2 knives out of the kitchen and started charging toward him with the knives pointed at him. The victim was able to get the knives from the defendant, and he called the police. There were also 2 children who witnessed all of this. They were 3 and 5 years old, initials MS and CS. We have not been in touch with the victim yet today. The state's requesting a $3,000 surety, Your Honor, no contact, stay away, family violence intervention, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if you could sound for Mr. Tilley.
Is Mr. Tilley present? All right, Mr. McLean, please proceed.
Your Honor, this I will be handling this.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Rogalski, please proceed.
No, you're all good. Come before you is Ms. Haynes. She is 33 years of age. She's been residing in the state of Georgia for her entire life, again, born and raised here. Your Honor, we understand that her address here is the incident address. So in the alternative, I did have a secondary address provided to me from her, and that is for her sister, who would live at 25 Moreland Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. So she could safely reside there if Your Honor is not inclined to release her back to that original address. Your Honor, she does have two children, 5 years of age and 3 years of age, and she is a stay-at-home mother taking care of them. And so she is the primary caretaker there. Your Honor, we would be asking in this case for you to allow for her release. Her last felony conviction was in 2013. I know these are misdemeanors, but I believe that was the last conviction I heard. I don't know if I'm wrong, and I don't want to mislead the court if there was a misdemeanor one after that, but very relatively low criminal history here. It's been over 10 years since that felony conviction here, and that was, from what I understand, to be a nonviolent offense there. Your Honor, she has relayed to me that she's okay with taking parenting classes. She's okay with anger management. Her exact quote here was she just wants to get home to take care of her kids. So we would be asking in this case for you to grant her a signature bond, so that way she is allowed to go do that and go back to taking care of those two children that she does care about. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Defendant is going to receive a $1,500 surety bond broken down as follows: 500, count one; 500, count two; 250, count three; 250, count four. She's to have no contact with Mr. Tilley. Did the state request to stay away?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stay away from that location. If she needs to return, she can do so one time with law enforcement to get any items. And she's to have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons as a condition. Is there anything additional from state or defense?
No, Judge.
No, Your
All
Honor.
right. Best of luck to you, Ms. Haynes. Who do we have next?
Number 9, Jenkins, you're done.
Uh-oh, did I freeze for a minute? There's Ms. Jenkins. Ms. Jenkins, your case is 24 CR 008060G. You're charged with 2 counts of simple battery and 1 count of battery family violence. Do you understand your rights today? All right, Ms. Jackson, can I have the history, please?
Your Honor, she does not have any prior arrests on file. She appeared to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 7th of December. Police were called to 6850 Smoke Ridge Drive at about 6 p.m. On scene, they spoke to the victim, one of the victims in this case, granddaughter of the defendant. Her name is Adriana Lang. She reported that after a verbal argument, she retreated to her room with a 16-year-old friend, another female, that the defendant came to the bedroom, prevented her from closing the door, and proceeded to punch her in the face. This caused her nose to bleed because the ring in her nose came out and tore her skin. The defendant then got on top of her, and when her young friend, Mrs. Treviana Taylor, tried to intervene, the defendant took a curtain rod and started striking both young ladies in the shoulders and head. The defendant told police that her granddaughter was being disrespectful and tried to fight her and pulled her hair, and she'd asked her to leave the location. The witness and second victim in this case, Your Honor, corroborated the initial statement by the victim. We tried to get in touch with Mrs. Lang today. I have not been successful at this point. If you'd sound for her in case she's here, we'd ask for a $3,000 SOB through pretrial, Your Honor, and no violent contact. I'm not sure about the living situation. Perhaps we can inquire into the defense. She may need some services if the victim is also a juvenile. Mrs. Treviana Taylor, the other young lady there who was struck with the curtain rod, is a juvenile.
Okay. Is Ms. Lang present? Wants to make a statement? Okay. Mr. McLean, do you have any information about the living situation you might be able to give us that would help me?
Yes, Your Honor. My understanding is that Loretta Jenkins is, of course, the grandmother of one of the two, and that her daughter recently died. And her daughter's husband, in other words, her son-in-law, I believe, he's probably the one who actually has the title to the home, and he allows Loretta Jenkins, the grandmother, to live there. The police, I was told, this is of course secondhand, obviously the public defender doesn't get to be there at the arrest, but I was told secondhand by my client that when the police arrived, they informed her that if the young lady lived there, she would have to evict her through procedures. Yet she was saying, but she's already moved out and her stuff is out of the house and she's just wanting to move back in. So I said, well, that's not really consistent with what's being alleged here, or maybe it is consistent and irrelevant. I don't know. But whether the person actually moved out completely and then wants to move back in, I'm not a real estate lawyer, so I'm scratching my head on that one, Your Honor. I did get hold of Miss Jenkins' brother. I hope he's on Zoom. If he's not, it's because he's doing work duties because we interrupted him during work. He might be on Zoom and he might not, to confirm all that stuff. Further, Your Honor, this is an interesting thing. I have no proof whatsoever, but I've been told that the granddaughter said she was 15, but she is not. She's 18.
Okay. So, Mr. McLean, do you object to the SOB? I'm going to do no further violent contact. Any objection to that at this time?
Certainly no objection, Your Honor.
All right. Based upon the information before me, defendant is going to receive a $3,000 SOB through pretrial at level 1. That is $1,000 on each count. She's to have no further violent contact with any of the alleged victims, and she's going to take the 1-day anger awareness course, have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, and will be reset further notice. Is there anything additional?
Your Honor, was that a level 1?
Yes, level 1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, best of luck to you, Ms. Jenkins. Who do we have next?
This is going to be position number 3, Ms. Kiara Freeman.
Ms. Freeman, your case is 24 CR 008062Y. You're charged with shoplifting and obstruction. Do you understand your rights today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Jackson?
She has 3 cycles. The last arrest was October the 20th, 2023 in Cobb County for theft by shoplifting. She appears to be on probation in Cobb County for theft by shoplifting. That disposition date was April the 18th, 2024. The term is for 11 months and 29 days of probation. She did receive first offender treatment for a misdemeanor in 2019 out of Riverdale, Georgia, for theft by shoplifting. That case was sealed on March the 5th, 2020. In addition to that, she appears to meet the criteria for a UJRA level 1. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Sessiano, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident happened yesterday at the Walmart in Roswell, 970 Roswell Road. Essentially, the defendant was seen by loss prevention at the self-checkout, only scanning some items and not scanning other items. At one point, she went to customer service and then returned some items for gift cards, and then purchased more items with the gift cards and continued to do the same thing where she was scanning some things and not others. She was stopped by Walmart personnel after she exited the store, passing all points of sale. When the officer tried to detain her, she resisted arrest, and that's the basis for the obstruction. And after the investigation was complete and figuring out what she had paid for and what she hadn't, it was determined that the amount shoplifted totaled $297.25. Her entire criminal history is shoplifting, Your Honor. The state's requesting a $2,000 surety. Stay away from Walmarts. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
All right, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, I'm going to assume that on the Riverdale or whatever it was, I believe it was another county, first offender shoplifting misdemeanor, that she probably got decent legal advice. And certainly a lawyer would have said to her at that time, don't throw your first offender rights away on a misdemeanor unless you're really, really, really determined not to ever shoplift again. So I think something's going on here. This makes no sense in terms of having, I mean, she's got 3 now. This is 1 away from the felony level. So I'm going to have a social worker talk to her. I would ask the court to consider a signature bond, and we'll try to work that angle of it, Your Honor, and try to get her some help. But she's a student in radiology at Gwinnett Tech. So obviously she's educated. She's not only a high school graduate, but taking college level courses or certification for medical profession stuff. And she's not going to get anywhere in that profession if she has a record built up. So we're just trying to save her.
All right, I understand that, Mr. McLean, but in light of information before me, defendant's gonna receive $1,000 surety bond, 500 on each count. She's to stay away from that location, have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, and she's going to all purpose. On the 26th, I am in agreement. I'm gonna ask that social worker come visit her. All right, best of luck to you, ma'am. Who do we have next?
Next is going to be position number 4, Ms. Candace Godfrey.
Ms. Godfrey, your case is 24 CR 008064. There's no leading letter. In this case, your charge was reckless conduct. Do you understand your rights? Is that a yes? All right, thank you. Ms. Jackson?
Your Honor, she does not have any prior arrests on file. She does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition.
All right, thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Judge, this incident took place December 8th at the Comfort Inn Hotel, 1500 Market Boulevard in Roswell. Officers responded to the location regarding 2 abandoned juveniles. The children at issue here are 2 years old, initials AG and BG. A witness that we believe was a patron at the hotel, her name is Miss April Benson. She stated that there was a box of diapers that had been left out in front of the hotel room of the defendant for about 2 hours, and she eventually alerted staff to ask them to knock on the door to let them know that the diapers were there because she was concerned the diapers were going to get stolen because they had been sitting there for some time. The staff knocked and got no answer, and as they were knocking, they heard children crying, and after a period of time, the hotel entered the hotel room and found 2 children unattended. As officers were speaking to Ms. Benson, the defendant came up to the officers and demanded to know what was going on. The officer informed her of the situation, and the defendant told officers that she had only been gone 10 minutes. She was outside speaking to AAA about fixing her vehicle, and she didn't want to take the kids down there because it was cold. And we're unsure exactly how long the children were unattended, Your Honor, but from the time the police were called until the defendant showed up to the room was about 40 minutes or so. And of course, the children were unattended longer than that because the kids weren't discovered by staff for some time. This is her first arrest. The state's requesting a signature bond through pretrial services, that the defendant be required to take a parenting class and comply with any defects, plans, and orders that may come about, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Any objection to the signature bond through pretrial? I'm not gonna do the parenting class at this juncture, Mr. McLean.
No, Your Honor, no objections.
All right, defendant is gonna receive a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial services. She is to comply with any relevant defects, orders, have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, and will be reset for the notice. Is there anything additional?
No, Your Honor.
All
May I
right,
have the level, Your Honor?
level 1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Best of luck to you, Ms. Godfrey. Who do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we're going to go to position number 1, Mr. Alexander Akandi. Come on,
Okay, Mr. Akandi, your case is 24 CR 008056G. Oh, is he coming? In this case, you're charged with battery, family violence. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Jackson.
He has 7 cycles. The last arrest was August the 12th, 2024, in Cobb County for criminal trespassing. He does appear to be on probation in Cobb County for disorderly conduct. I think that charge was amended from criminal trespassing. That disposition date was September the 12th, 2024. And the term is for 4 months and 29 days of probation. And he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Destiano.
Your Honor, I'm just double checking. I have a completely different criminal history. I have, let's see. We've got 40 cycles out of Georgia and 1 cycle out of the state of Illinois. Most recent conviction, November 20th of this year for giving false name. He's been arrested 5 times this year for probation violations and theft by shoplifting. He was arrested last year. I'm sorry.
There's
Did
such a
someone-
discrepancy. Can we maybe confirm, Ms. Jackson?
When my brother uses his name, my name pops up as an alias.
I can pull that up again, Your Honor, and take a look at it.
Okay. It's just so different that I want to make sure that maybe Ms. Destiano, can maybe you chat Ms. Jackson the birthday or something so that we can confirm it's the same person?
Yes.
His name is Leroy Greer. Only been locked up 3 times in my lifetime. Oh. This happened a year ago.
No, sir, just don't say too much. You might end up saying something
Yeah.
that's used against you, okay?
Okay.
Please.
Your Honor, the GCIC that I have before me has the same date of birth that that Ms. Taylor just sent over.
Okay, I just
And
want
let
to
me
figure out if there's a way to explain that discrepancy.
let me just scroll down just to double check. Any other-
Has he been fingerprinted to confirm his identity? Because he does have some arrests. The GCSE I'm looking at has some arrests for giving false names. So sometimes if you give a false name, it
I don't know whether he's been fingerprinted. I think that's something that they do at the jail. I'm not sure. But I have 7 cycles on this GCIC. Your Honor.
Okay. All right, well, there are some discrepancies. I will consider that. Please proceed, Ms. Desiano.
Your Honor, this incident took place back in January, on January 6th of this year, 1725 Northwest Drive. Officers responded to a dispute at that location. The victim is Antoinette Dixon. It's spelled ANNTWINNETT Dixon. She stated that she's known the defendant for approximately 3 years. They have lived together for over a year. However, at the time of this incident, they were not living together. She advised that on the incident date, the defendant struck her in the face with a closed hand and she sustained a bloody lip. We've been in touch with her today. She states they're no longer in a relationship. They don't live together anymore. They don't have children. She stated that she called the police because there was a dispute inside the car and the defendant left her stranded on the side of the road. She states although they're no longer in a relationship, they do still communicate and she would like contact. And she's since moved to Florida since this incident. So based on the criminal history we have, Your Honor, the state's requesting a $2,500 surety bond, no further violent contact, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
And I'm sorry, the victim's name again?
Antoinette Dixon.
Is Ms. Dixon present, wishes to make a statement?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Very briefly, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm testimony you give today be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and what I'm most concerned or any concerns you have for your safety and desire for contact, what would you like to tell me?
Ma'am, I would like to say, like I said, we are good friends. I'm not concerned about my well-being. Um, you can still contact me. And when I spoke to the person whoever called me earlier, I did request that he get a signature bond because, you know, he do drive trucks and he also take care of his mother. So as of this moment, he don't have money to pay for a bond. So I did request that he get a signature bond and we continue to contact and communicate with each other because I don't have no problem with him. I don't feel a threat. And his brother do be using his name.
All right, I appreciate you coming to court making that statement. Mr. Rogowski, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Come before you is Mr. Akonde. He's 42 years of age, Your Honor. His address is 669 Garden Walk Boulevard, apartment 1215, where he does reside with his mother. And as the witness here stated, he is the caregiver for his mother as well. Your Honor, he does have one child, 21 years of age. He did complete the 8th grade in school, and he does have his CDL and drives trucks for a living. Has been doing that for quite some time now as well. Your Honor, you did just hear from the victim. She is not to misstate anything. So if I misstate something, please, I ask for a correction. But is not concerned about well-being, does want contact with Mr. Akonde. And we do want to stress that to the court as well. She is not in fear and she does want contact. This also did occur on January 6th, which tells me that at the very least, nothing in between here. From what I can, at the very least, make an assumption of has occurred in between. Now, again, do not want to put words in anyone's mouth, but that would be my understanding since there is no other case. I think that would be a fair assumption to make, but an assumption nonetheless for the court. With that being said, in regards to his criminal history, Your Honor, the client had relayed to me that he believed he only had 3 cycles prior to this. We did hear from the client there who had briefly stated that his brother does use his name. The victim in this case has stated that his brother does use his name. So while we do have some ambiguity about the criminal history, I am very confident that Mr. Akonde is telling the truth on that, as well as we do have support from the witness to back that up, that that is something that occurs. So we would ask that you do follow the history that was read out by pretrial, as well as issue Mr. Akonde a signature bond for his release so he can go back to doing his job and being gainfully employed, as well as back to a semblance of normalcy in his life outside of the custody of the Fulton County Jail. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, the defendant is going to receive a $3,000. I'm sorry, Ms. Jackson, what was the recommended level?
It's recommended for UJ or through the jail, Your Honor.
Okay, then it'll be level 1. Defendant is going to receive a $3,000 signature bond at level 1. He, through pretrial services, he said have no further violent contact with the alleged victim, have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, and will be reset for the notice. Best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next? All right, who do we have next?
Next is position number 2, Ali Kovart.
All right, sir, your case is 24 CR 008059J. You're charged with false report of a crime. Do you understand your rights today?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Jackson.
He has 16 cycles. The last arrest was November the 8th, 2022 in Abbeville, Georgia for conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor, 7 counts. He does appear to have an outstanding hold out of Franklin, Tennessee for larceny. The date on that warrant was March the 24th, 2019. He does have 1 misdemeanor conviction that was in 2014 for driving while license suspended or revoked. And he does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR at level 1. Nothing in addition.
All right, thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place back in September on the 21st. The defendant reported to police that He had rented a 2023 Toyota Camry on that same day, the 23rd, and went to the Greenbrier Mall at 2841 Greenbrier Parkway. And he reported that when he came out of the mall, the vehicle was stolen. 3 days later, the vehicle was located in the state of Alabama in the possession of a man who told police that he legally bought the vehicle on September 18th, 2023. All of his paperwork seemed to check out, and it was determined after the investigation that the vehicle the defendant claimed he had rented on the 21st was actually verified to be in the state of Alabama during that time. So there's no way the defendant could have rented it and driven it to the Greenbrier Mall like he had reported. The state's requesting a signature bond, Your Honor, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Any objection, Mr. Rogowski?
No, Your Honor.
All right, defendant is going to receive a $5,000 SOB to the jail. He's to have no weapons, drugs, alcohol, and will be reset further notice. Best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Next is gonna be position number 6, Mr. Ronald Hamilton.
All right, Mr. Hamilton, your case is 24 CR 008066E. You're charged with obstructing someone making a 911, criminal trespass, and simple battery. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson, can I have his history, please?
He has 8 cycles. The last arrest was February the 16th, 2023, out of Coweta County, Georgia, for a probation violation. He does have misdemeanor sentences and a conviction. This one in 2022, he received a nolo contendere sentence out of Coweta County for battery. And he received a nolo contendere sentence in 2021 out of Coweta County for driving while license suspended or revoked. And there was a misdemeanor conviction in 2014 out of Coweta County for disorderly conduct. And he received first offender treatment in 2013 out of Coweta County for battery family violence. That case was sealed January the 28th, 2016. He does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR a level 1. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Judge, this incident took place back in August, on August 6th at 1401 West Paces Ferry Road, apartment 5316. Officers responded to a dispute at that location. The caller and the victim in this case is Rachel Childers. She advised that her boyfriend pushed her during a dispute, and when she got up, he punched her multiple times in the stomach. We've been in touch with the victim today, who also told us that when she went to call 911, the defendant smacked the phone out of her hand and her phone was damaged from that. The screen was broken. The defendant was not on scene when police arrived. However, he was surveilling the area because he was contacting the victim and telling her things like he knew that she was talking to the police, etc. Since this incident, the defendant has tried to repeatedly contact Ms. Childers. She's not responding to him. She wants no contact. She filed for a TPO at one point. However, it was dismissed because the defendant is evading service. She states that the attempts to contact her have gotten worse and are escalating. There is another incident that was reported from October involving the victim's sister, Mary Childers. Miss Mary Childers and the defendant go to the same gym. She ran into him there, and she described an incident where she was aggressively shoulder bumped, and then the defendant got in her face and threatened to shoot her. She reported that incident to the gym. However, the police were never called. We've been in touch with Miss Childers today. She states that they're no longer in a relationship. They don't live together. They don't have children. She states the incident location is her residence. She confirmed the events in the warrant, unsuccessfully tried to get a TPO. She wants no contact. And she also would like no contact for any of her family members, to include her sister, and would like for him to stay away from the residence. And given his history, Your Honor, the state's requesting a 1,000 surety on each count for a total of 3,000. No contact with Ms. Childers, no contact with anyone in Ms. Childers' family. Stay away from her residence, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And Ms. Childers is on the line, Your Honor, if you can sound for her. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Childers, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right. Again, if you agree or disagree with what Ms. Desiano said, that's not what I'm concerned with. I'm most concerned with the fear or concerns you have for your safety and whether you wish for contact in light of those instructions, or would you like to tell me?
Yes, I do think it's necessary that we have absolutely no contact. Like Ms. Desiano said, he's tried to, he attacked my sister and then threatened her to shoot her in the face. He has constantly tried to get in touch with me after I have blocked him, told him to not get in contact with me. He contacted me on another phone, and continued to harass me since.
I appreciate you coming to court and making that statement. Thank you, Ms. Childers.
Thank you.
Is it Mr. McLean or Mr. Rogowski that this client, who has this client?
This is my case, Your Honor.
All right, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Come before you is Mr. Hamilton. He is 34 years of age. He has been living essentially his entire life in Georgia, with the exception of going to school at the University of Connecticut for some time there, where he played football before transferring down to Georgia State. Your Honor, he has two children, 12 years of age and 9 years of age, respectively, that do reside with him. And he does have a good address to go back to that is out of the way here in Noonan, Georgia, and that's going to be 787 East Noonan Road. Your Honor, he would be residing with his father at that location as well. He does have good employment. He is both a rig and a grip in the Filmmakers Union here, so he is employed and will be on track upon release, which is good. And Your Honor, he has relayed to me that he is a single father. He does take care of those kids and he cares about them deeply. And so we would be asking today for a signature bond. However, in the alternative, understanding the nature here, we would be asking for a bond on each count not to exceed $400 per count. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. Defendant's going to receive a $1,500 surety bond, $500 each count. He's to have no contact with the alleged victim in this case. Stay away from that location. Should he need to return, he can return one time with law enforcement. Have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons as a condition. Is there anything additional?
Your
No.
Honor, would you consider ordering that he can't contact the victim's family members either?
Do they have children together?
They don't.
They don't? All right. You know what? I'm not going to do that at this juncture. I think what I've done is sufficient at this time. All right. All right.
Understood.
Best of luck to you, Mr. Hamilton.
Your Honor, what was that bond amount again? Sorry.
1,500, 500 each count.
Good bond?
Yes, goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is gonna be position number 8, Mr. Rodney Hill.
All right, Mr. Hill, good afternoon. Your case is 24 CR 008065F. You're charged with 2 counts of obstruction, 1 count criminal trespass, and 1 count of disorderly conduct. Do you understand your rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Jackson, can I have that history, please?
He has 18 cycles. The last arrest was April the 5th, 2017. And that was in DeKalb County, Georgia, for a DUI. That charge was null pros on February the 19th, 2019. He does have 1 prior felony conviction. It was in 1997 for possession of controlled substance. And he does have misdemeanor sentences. It's one in 2015, he received a nullo contendory sentence out of Monroe County, Georgia, for a non-fingerprintable offense. It's one in 2004, he received a nullo contendory sentence out of Clayton County for driving while license suspended or revoked. It's one in 1999 for driving while license suspended or revoked. And he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 2. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred at the Signia by Hilton Hotel at 159 Northside Drive, Northwest, at about 7:15 in the morning, the 9th, excuse me, December the 9th. Police were called by security at the hotel there because the gentleman in front of you was in a white Rolls Royce in the valet parking area, passed out in his car and unresponsive. It's reported that security had tried to rouse him and talk to him, but were unsuccessful. They called for police's assistance. Police came to the location and were able to get the defendant to wake up and come to and out of the car. He started to try to drive away first. Police yelled that he was not free to leave. He stopped, exited his vehicle, approached officers and the security staff pretty aggressively, pulling his camera in their faces, wouldn't respond to questions about his welfare, seeing as he was passed out asleep and he smelled of alcohol. He kept claiming he couldn't find his phone, although he was holding his phone up in the air as if he were videotaping people. He had to be told to stop putting his hands in his pockets and going into his vehicle. He refused to follow any commands. Police asked him for his ID. He refused. He was then asked to leave. He said he had a room at the location. He was given the opportunity to go to his room. He said no. He was given the opportunity to hand over his key, and he refused to do that. He was asked to leave by security. He began to shout over police at security in a very disruptive manner. They had to explain to him that he was going to be detained if he continued to be disruptive and unruly. He then tried to walk away from police officers, and he was described as agitated and getting physical there on the grounds of the location. He was taken into custody. He snatched his arms away when being detained. He twisted away from officers, refused to put his hand behind his back and had to be taken to the ground. When he was ID'd, it was found that his driver's license was suspended as of November the 18th. We're asking for a $4,000 SOB through pretrial, Your Honor. No contact with security guard Zach Gaither, Gaither, at the Signia there at 159 Northside Drive. No contact with anyone there. Stay away from that location. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. This appears to have been Georgia Tech Police, maybe, or no, Georgia World Congress Police, and they ended up asking for assistance from APD to transport this gentleman. I'm not sure why there wasn't a DUI investigation, but it seems like it's his lucky day. So that's what we're asking for, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. McLean, please proceed.
I sure can't think of anything to object to in that proposal.
Okay. All right, defendant will receive a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1,000 on each count. He's to stay away from that location and have no contact with any of the alleged victims in this case. Is there anything additional from State or Defense? All right, hearing none. Best of luck to you, Mr. Hill. Who do we have next?
Next is going to be position number 13, Mr. Brandon Smith.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Smith. Your case is 24 CR 008068G. You're charged with 2 counts battery family violence. You understand your rights? All right, Ms. Jackson, can I have the history?
He has 31 cycles. The last arrest was August the 27th, 2024 in Turner County, Georgia, for a probation violation. He does appear to be on probation in Turner County, Georgia, for 3 counts of fleeing or attempting to elude an officer, an obstruction of an officer. That disposition date was August the 24th, 2022, and the term is for 3 years. He does have prior felony convictions and a sentence. One in 2019 for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. One in 2014 out of DeKalb County for theft by receiving stolen property. And he received first offender treatment in 2009 for criminal attempt to commit a felony. That case was sealed September the 21st, 2018. And he does have misdemeanor convictions. One in 2013 out of Gwinnett County for a hit and run. One in 2012 for cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, and obstruction of an officer, and battery. There's one in 2011 for giving false information to an officer and obstruction of an officer. And he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Allen, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. So this is another case that should be transferred as a felony based on the fact that he's got that 2012 battery family violence conviction. That's actually out of Fulton County, 12 CR 388333. We just haven't heard back from the DA's office yet. In this case, on the 9th of December, police were called to the Travel Lodge at 2470 Old National Parkway. A 25-year-old female, the victim in this case, Tiana McCoy. Her name is spelled Tiauni. She called the police, reported that she had been kicked in the head and the stomach and assaulted, that she is 5 months postpartum. On scene, she met with police. She was seen to have a bloody, busted lip. She reported that she had fled to the lobby after the defendant assaulted her in room 221. He wouldn't let her leave. She was able to eventually get away. She ran to the lobby where he followed her, and he's captured on surveillance video punching her in her face. Security footage of that was shown to police. The defendant had fled, but they located him nearby at 2480 Old National, and he had blood on his pants. He said, "I was just trying to leave." When police ran his information, they realized he was wanted for an aggravated assault that had been reported there at the same location by the same victim in November. So he was on first appearance today in 24 PI 009010 for an aggravated assault strangulation against the same victim on November the 16th. I would note that the defendant did just get out of jail from a probation violation in Turner County that you just heard about on November the 7th. So on November the 7th, he was released from jail. On November the 16th, he committed an aggravated assault here in Fulton County. And on December the 9th, he committed a battery against the same victim. We're asking for a $4,000 surety, Your Honor. No contact whatsoever with the victim in this case, Ms. McCoy. Stay away from that location there on Old National. That's the Travel Lodge at 2471. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And if you would sound for the victim, again, her name is Tiani, I think, or Tianu McCoy. Thank you.
All right, is Ms. McCoy present and wishes to make a very brief statement? Hearing none, Mr. McLean?
Mine is 34 years old. He has 11th grade education that has not held him back at all. He's practically a high school graduate and can later get his GED if necessary for his career, but he's worked through Randstad temporary services. He's worked in materials handling companies, and he has lived in Georgia all his life. We have a stable address apparently on Buffington. And so, Your Honor, we would ask the court to consider the lowest bond possible. If the court is not leaning on toward a signature bond, we would ask the court to consider something in the way of a very low surety bond.
All right. At this time, defendant is going to receive a $3,000 surety bond. It's going to be $2,000 on count 1, $1,000 on count 2. He's to have no contact with Ms. McCoy. Stay away from that Travel Lodge location. Have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons as a condition. And as a reminder, he's going to All Purpose on the 26th. Is there anything additional? All right, best of luck to you, sir. What do we have next?
Your Honor, I have a few announcements.
Okay. We're ready.
I'm trying to get there.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were waiting for me.
No. On position number 11, that's a waiver.
Okay.
Position number 12 is a waiver.
All right, so we'll take up both waived cases at this time. We're going to take up position 11 first, the case of Justin Pico, 24 CR 008042A, in which defendant is charged with simple battery family violence. Can I have that history, please, Ms. Jackson?
He has 37 cycles. The last arrest was December the 14th, 2022 in Forsyth County, Georgia for a probation violation. He does appear to have an open case pending in Fulton County for 3 counts of simple battery. That case number is 21 CR 005619 and the letter A. In addition to that, he appears to be on probation in Gwinnett County for aggravated assault and battery. That disposition date was March the 6th, 2013. 4 years of confinement and 12 years of probation. Also, he appears to have several holds, one out of Cumming, Georgia for a failure to appear. The date on that warrant was February the 9th, 2024. One out of Milton, Georgia for a traffic offense. The date on that warrant was May the 25th, 2023. One out of Lawrenceville, Georgia for obstruction of an officer. The date on that warrant is February the 23rd, 2024. And he does have prior felony convictions and sentences. This one in 2010 for possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. This one in 2008 for aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during commission of a felony and robbery. Then he received first offender treatment in 2007 for robbery. The case was sealed December the 4th, 2022. And he does have misdemeanor convictions and a sentence. This one in 2022 out of Forsyth County, Georgia for a DUI. This one in 2019, he received a no low contendory sentence out of Duluth, Georgia for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. And one in 2018 for 2 counts of possession of marijuana less than an ounce. And one in 2015 out of Milton, Georgia for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. He does appear to meet the criteria for a UJR level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This defendant was reset from yesterday. He refused to come to court. So I'm not sure if this is an official waiver or a continued behavioral issue.
It's an official waiver. I was able to speak with my client, and he has knowingly and willingly waived his appearance.
All right, Ms. McLeod, just send that over to Ms. Bridgewater. Thank you. Please
I
proceed.
have already done so, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please proceed, Ms. Allen.
So the defendant was arrested on the 9th, Your Honor, with outstanding warrants. He was on first appearance felony yesterday for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon case there at outstanding warrants, as well as issues from, I think, May of 2024. This incident is from March of 2024. Police responded to 415 Armour Drive Northeast, apartment number 9507 at about 4 p.m. on the 3rd of March. They met with the victim, Mrs. Wright. She's also the victim in the open 21 CR case that's in bench warrant status that you just heard about, 21 CR 005619A. She told police in March that during a verbal dispute with the defendant, he began punching her in the head. They share a child. When they spoke to her on the scene, she hadn't received or developed any injuries at that point. But basically, she reported that the victim began being assaulted by the defendant because he was angry. She hadn't woken him up to fill out an application for an apartment. He called her names and assaulted her before fleeing the scene. We've spoken to her yesterday. She confirmed that she shares a child with the defendant, but they do not live together, and that they do have an open case. She's requesting no contact. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor. No contact with the victim in this case. Again, her name is Jocelyn, Jocelyn Wright, Wright. Stay away from wherever she may live, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Is Ms. Wright present and wishes to make a very brief statement? Okay, Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. As the state has stated, my client does have some holes, so I would be asking for a signature bond for him to be released to these holes, Your Honor. It appears that whatever the state alleges took place many, many months ago in March, I believe I heard. So, and there has been no contact between any of these people since that time. So that is what I would be asking Your Honor for a signature bond. I
The
believe
victim
that was
actually did
also
say,
recommended.
she did say that they'd been in contact, that he'd been in contact with her since.
All right, defendant is now receiving $1,500 surety bond, no contact and stay away from wherever the victim resides, no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons. Let's go to the next wave case. Ms. McLeod, is that your only case today?
No, Your Honor, the other one is mine as well.
All right. All right, the wave case 24 CR 008057D, in which defendant is charged with obstruction. Ms. Jackson, what's most important to me, do you see any prior obstructions? Well, it doesn't matter. What is the defendant's history, Ms. Jackson?
We are on Mr. Ragland, right?
Yes, correct, position 12.
Okay. He has 7 cycles. The last arrest was July the 6th, 2024 in Fulton County for a failure to appear. He does appear to have an open case pending in DeKalb County for 8 counts of criminal trespassing and entering an automobile. And he also appears to have an open case pending in Fulton County for obstruction of an officer. That case number is 24 CR 00459 in the letter D. And I guess with this, it appears to have some much more serious cases, charges pending in felony court. Armed robbery and aggravated assault and the possession of the firearm during commission of a felony. There are no other convictions listed in the GCIC. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Allen.
Thank you. So this obstruction was from December the 7th at about 1:40 p.m. Police were investigating a robbery. They saw a vehicle that was associated with that robbery and part of the investigation at 171 Uharrie Street, Euhariee. Emergency lights were activated. The vehicle, in response to those lights, drove onto the wrong side of the road and fled. Shortly thereafter, police were updated to the location of that vehicle. It had been parked and it looked like it was unoccupied. It was in front of 1000 Parsons Street Southwest. Registration for that vehicle came back to the person at that location. Plainclothes officers went to the location and observed one individual exit the house there and go into the middle of the street, look around, and then get something out of the vehicle and go inside. He came back outside later, accompanied by the defendant, Mr. Cortez. Mr. Cortez was wearing a green traffic vest. He walked to the vehicle and got in the passenger side. The other gentleman, his name is Mr. Hunter, got into the driver's side and they took off. The car was located making a left turn at the nearby intersection. Police tried to do a traffic stop. The individuals in the vehicle stopped and then bailed. The defendant was seen fleeing by officers. As he fled, he put on a ski mask to prevent people from identifying him. His co-defendant was located in a crawl space nearby. When he was taken into custody, Your Honor, that's when it was revealed that he had these active warrants for armed robbery, the actual armed robbery that was being investigated and associated with that same vehicle that occurred November the 22nd. And so those outstanding warrants were served: armed robbery, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And he has an open case in Superior Court as it relates to that, and I believe was heard either today or yesterday. You did hear about prior arrests for armed robbery. He's got open theft and entering auto, a prior arrest for entering auto. He's got simple battery and riot in a penal institution arrest, and then an open DeKalb County and a recent failure to appear. He's also got that open obstruction case, 24 CR 004596D. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right. Ms. McLeod?
Your Honor, I believe the state's statement that my client is a convicted felon is incorrect. Nevertheless, Your Honor, based on my reading of the warrant, my client was walking in a parking lot. He was seen walking in a parking lot and he put on a ski mask. Putting on a ski mask in this kind of cold weather, the assumption that he was doing that to disguise himself in this kind of cold weather doesn't seem to make sense. I wear a ski mask because it's cold. I like to be warm. So just because he put a ski mask on, it's not an indication that he was trying to disguise himself. He was in a parking lot walking. People do that all the time. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly was the nature of this alleged obstruction, Your Honor. My client obviously had some other things. I don't know what the allegations against him are in those cases and how solid they are. Nevertheless, he's here now on this alleged obstruction. I do not believe, based on the warrant, that obstruction has even been made out. A prima facie case of obstruction has even been made out. So I would ask the court to consider giving my client a signature bond. He has other things he's dealing with, so he's obviously not going to get out of jail until those other things are resolved. But based on this warrant, I think my client should get a signature bond because they haven't made out obstruction at all. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, defendant's gonna receive $1,000 surety bond. He's to have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons. All right, best of luck to that defendant. Ms. McLeod, if you are complete, you may be excused. I believe that is the entire calendar. Ms. Bridgewater, will you please review it for me?
Yes, ma'am, I will. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is December the 26th. Position number 1 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. Position number 2 is reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through the jail. Position 3 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $1,000 good bond. 4 is reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through pretrial. 5, reset further notice with a total $1,500 SOB through pretrial. 6 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $1,500 good bond. 7, SAP calendar with a total $3,000 good bond. 8, reset further notice with a $4,000 total SOB through pretrial. 9, reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 10, reset further notice with a total $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 11 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,500 good bond. 12, SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. 13, SAP calendar with a total $3,000 good bond. 14, SAP calendar with a total $1,001 split bond. 15, SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Going to the add-on calendar, position number 1 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,500 total good bond. Position number 2, SAP calendar with a total $1,500 good bond. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise?
Hearing none, take care, everyone. Stay safe.
thought-
Oh, Ms. Allen, you had a question?
Yeah, I thought position 10 was going to SAP and was a good bond.
Let me go back to that.
Thank you.
I have position number 10.
Yes, 10 is a good bond.
Okay, that's the Rajan Maha.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the $2,000 good bond.
2,000 good bond, no further violent contact, going to SAP.
Thank you for that correction. Are there any others? If
All
not,
right. Hearing none, take care,
Judge,
everyone.
I'm
It's
gonna
always a
send
Thank you.
pleasure.
Have a great one, everyone.
okay,
Thanks,
send
everybody.
these orders right now.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you,
It's always a pleasure to be with you all. Take care until I see you again.
Okay.
Bye-bye.